Bootleg podcasts, made for everyone, by anyone. You are listening to The Rating is Right, a game show podcast based around the movies you love and their ratings. Think The Price is Right with a lower budget, less Bruce, and no prizes. Introducing your host, Ian Crow.
It's the rating. It's the rating. Rating. It's the rating. It's the rating.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of The Rating is Right. So before I introduce my co-host, let's explain how this is going to work. Quite simply, my co-host will be guessing the ratings of a series of films, including whether they are higher or lower than the previous one. They'll be getting 1 point for a correct guess of higher or lower, an additional point for whoever is closest, and a whopping 3 points for anyone lucky enough to guess the rating bang on. The current winner will guess first each round to give the other contestant an advantage and a chance to catch up. The winner at the end of the episode will have the honour and privilege of giving a recommendation of a film that takes their fancy. Now that's sorted, let's meet my co-hosts. First up, we have our current champion and Cabbage Patch Kid lookalike. It is Owen Cox.
What's a Cabbage Patch Kid? Wait, let me Google it.
Yeah, Google Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah, I mean, just look in a mirror.
I forgot. There isn't any mirrors down here. Cabbage Patch Kid. Oh, fucking hell, yeah, totally. Oh, God. How have I not heard that one before? That's a brilliant observation.
I don't know why. Today, I was walking home from work and I just thought, Owen looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid a little bit. Oh, that's a bit of perfect
on your mind.
You're always on my mind, Owen. And our other co-host is the late YouTuber Keenan Cahill. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's George Robinson.
Too soon.
Way too soon.
No, he died last year. It's fine. So, if you're not aware who Keenan Cahill is, just search Keenan Cahill. He is a dead YouTuber who looks a lot like George. Very famously for rapping with 50 Cent on his YouTube channel. How are you always this new year?
I'm in shock.
That is exactly how I want to start this new year.
Oh. Good lord.
Yeah, how was your Christmas and New Year, boys?
Good. I was ill for the whole time because your girlfriend made me ill.
And I was ill because Owen made me ill.
Yeah, we were kissing too much on Boxing Day.
I know.
One too many kisses.
George is so jealous. We did a film quiz and we kissed.
Yep.
Honestly, you missed out on so
crying.
much. So, the new episode today is... Shall I give you a little bit of a hint of what it's going to be?
Yeah.
Come on, tease me.
So,
tease me, baby, till I lose control.
I give you the so basically I'm gonna be doing something quite new on this podcast. So
I don't like changing.
Well, I remember you saying, oh, you're not a big fan of critics. You like the people's opinion. So instead of going and taking a few snippets from critics on Metascore, I thought it'd also be fun as we go through the films that we'll be discussing, is taking short snippets of the public reviews on Letterboxd. Because there are some times I go on there and I'm howling. Like,
there
it's so funny.
Many good ones.
So many good ones. And I thought for this one that I've picked today, this will be the perfect one. So let me just give you the short title of the first film because basically what we're doing is a series. So the title of this one is Live Life 1/4 Mile at a Time.
Is it Fast and the Furious?
It's Fast and the Furious.
Yeah!
I say Cars 2.
Oh. Well, I mean, you could say any kind of car film. But I was going to say, a ratings of films that bring family together and race expensive cars off tall buildings. So yes, it's the Fast and Furious movies.
La Famille.
Initial thoughts, boys? Fast and Furious movies?
Are you going to do Tokyo Drift?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Classics.
Yeah.
I have seen every single one of these. I'm a religious supporter of the Furious family.
Of the family, yeah.
Yeah. But they're all crap. So God knows the numbers on these ones. It's going to be like the video game episode all over again when nothing breaches 50.
That's exactly why I picked this, because there's 10 of them, including Hobbs and Shaw. And I just thought they're just so average.
Wait, hang on, there's 10 of them.
Yeah, it's
not 11 of them.
No, because Fast X is out this year. And it's Fast 10. So
yeah,
including the 9 with Hobbs and Shaw.
Did Tokyo Drift count as the main continuity?
Is it Law?
Yeah, it's the third one.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but technically I think Tokyo Drift it jumps in time. And then when it goes to the fourth, that goes behind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
does
does count.
In one and then he leaves to go to Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah.
See? I even know the character names. I got this on
There we go. And Owen, you've been fairly quiet about this so far. Have you watched the Fast and Furious series or not?
I've only ever seen Tokyo Drift.
Okay, so still a bit interesting one.
Great song.
That is a great song, to be fair.
Are you joking? You've only seen Tokyo Drift?
I think I've seen the first one with Paul... I was going to say Paul Weller. Paul Walker.
I mean, he's in most of them until he died.
Up to what? Up to Fast and Furious 7?
Didn't he die Fast and Furious?
He didn't die in Fast and Furious. He died in a car crash.
During
wasn't he doing like... Wasn't he doing... Oh, was it during filming?
I don't think it was... I thought it was out of filming.
No, because
wasn't he doing like 180 mile an hour?
I swear he's in the start of the film, and then he's not in the end of the film. And then they reshot a bunch of stuff with his brother as a stand-in and just changed his face. And then for the final scene is when he drives off.
They did. When I see you again.
Yeah, when I first saw that, made me cry. I had to ring up Amy and be like, I'm so sad, because she was away on holiday.
I will just back up Owen here. I've actually only seen 3 of them, so...
Is Wiz Khalifa in that one?
No, he just sings a song.
I've only watched
it's ludicrous.
Sure,
Ludicrous.
Fast and Furious 8 and Tokyo Drift. So I've watched them all dotted about. So I haven't really. I need to watch them in order. But I thought it'd be a really fun one to do. So shall we get started?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question before we do?
You may.
Is there continuity?
Before you ask it, it's not percentage.
Okay. Well, I won't be locking that in then.
Episode 6 is to make it very clear, Owen. No percentage, but if you just want to say it, I feel like we just can't stop you now. If you want to say percentage, then it's fine.
You messaged me after the last episode and said we need to do a review of the rules because you weren't sure I understood them.
I just feel like there's no point. I think it's just fighting a losing battle, to be honest. But I will be doing them in number order though. So in release date. So
fabulous.
So I won't be mixing them around.
Are you doing it release order or chronological order?
Release order.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so to recap, this is our 6th episode. So Owen is currently in the lead with 3 wins. George has got 2, but Owen has won 3 in a row. So it's been a while since George has actually won an episode, all the way back on episode 2. So George, quickly before we do start, how confident are you feeling today that you can bring it back to tie 3-3?
I wasn't feeling confident all day, and then we've come on the call, and Owen has just made mistake after mistake in recording. So I'm just thinking, I've got this. I'm feeling a lot better now. This is mine for the taking.
I feel like Owen's silently confident once again.
I'm luring him into a false sense of security, is what I'm doing here.
I mean, you could make it 4-2 going into the next episode, which would be quite the lead. Is that what you're
honestly
for,
think?
Owen?
Well, I think if I win this round, if I win this episode, George isn't going to come back. I think that will be it. Done. It was hard enough to get him on for this one. He's been in hiding for weeks.
I would say we've been messaging for about 2 weeks. Me and Owen have been talking to each other, and George will pop up every now and then like a meme, answer the bloody message, George. Definitely hiding, but it's a new year, George. Look, look, anything can happen.
Exactly. New start, fresh start. Here we go. Reset the score counter. Episode 1. Delete all the old episodes. Let's go.
False optimism. All of those people that had gym memberships on the 1st of January, it's the 11th now. They're all at home.
They're eating their leftover mince pies 100%.
January depression
Right.
is full and truly in the swing of things now.
So let's get started. So Owen, as you are the current champion of the podcast, you will be
Thank you,
going
Ian.
first. So with the first one, obviously we don't know what the score of the previous one is. We haven't had a previous film so far. So what I want you to do first of all is just to guess the number of the rating of the first film, which is The Fast and Furious, which is the first Fast and Furious movie in the franchise. So Owen, what do you think the score is on Metascore for The Fast and Furious?
I don't know if George is feeling it too, but we're staring each other out on the camera. I don't know if that's just in my head.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I've been glaring at him for the last 30 seconds. He didn't look away once.
I'm not breaking eye contact with this bitch.
You need a haircut as well.
I do need a haircut, that is true.
It's looking quite throwy.
He's just trying to wear
It
you
is.
down, George.
He's just stalling. He's stalling for time.
He is stalling, but he's also trying to make you feel bad about yourself as well. He's like, he's lowering your self-esteem.
He's getting in my head.
I'm whittling him down. He looks like Sideshow Bob at the minute. Or he looks like a hybrid David Luiz, like Hertfordshire's like version of David Luiz.
Is
Some
that a
serious
footballer?
like
Yeah,
curls.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a footballer who looks like Sideshow Bob, basically.
Okay, fantastic.
You look like a combination of the two.
Yeah.
The first Fast and Furious, is it called Fast First?
I literally just said it. It's called The Fast and the Furious. The Fast and Furious, sorry. It's going to get really confusing. The Fast and
Not
Furious.
Fast and Furious.
The Fast and Furious, yeah, was the first one in the series.
I think I have seen this. I think I had this on DVD. Is it the one with where it's just Vin Diesel and Paul Walker? Like The Rock isn't in this one, is he?
No, The Rock doesn't appear until like the fourth one, I believe.
So this is based on the public's scores as well, and not the shitty critics.
No,
don't know what they're on
this is still the critics because it is still based on,
Okay.
on the meta score. But when we get to opinions on movies, we'll also look at the public as well.
Oh, so it's like a fun little tidbit on the end.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I'm digging the host style. I'll just go straight in. It must have started well because they made 9 more of them. So let's go 72.
72. Okay, he's gone quite high with 72. So he's not messing around. He's gone straight in. George, initial thoughts on Owen's 72?
I feel like that's very high, and it's making me.
You're doubting yourself, aren't you? Already?
I'm not doubting myself. well, Owen's the champion. I think 72 is too high. I think the fact that they made sequels is based purely on money and nothing else. I'm going to go much lower than Owen. I enjoy it, but I think it's a 57.
57. So we've got 72 from Owen and a 57 from George. So George is the closest. He's actually only one out. It's 58. The Fast and Furious. So George takes the early lead and gets the 2 points and goes 2-0 up. So The Fast and Furious is the 2001 film. So mad, it actually came out 12 years ago. So this is the introduction of Dominic Toretto and Paul Walker's character Brian O'Connor. And this is kind of like a bit more of the basic kind of. It's very like underground kind of like racing movie, right, George? It's obviously not quite as extravagant as the later movies.
It's more like a undercover cop sort of thing. It's very very like street level.
Yeah,
No massive explosions and shit like that.
Paul Walker is a LAPD cop, right, and he has to go undercover on the street side gang about all these kind of like hijackings and kind of to infiltrate the kind of underground racing crew. Is that right? That's kind of like the gist of the film.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's like chop shops and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how he gets involved in the familia.
So, would you like to hear your first taste of public Letterboxd?
Oh god, I love Letterboxd so much.
So, if you don't know what
Yes,
Letterboxd is, Letterboxd is basically like a public social media in a sense for films. So you can log your movies, you can write reviews, make lists, follow friends, and see what they're watching, basically. And the comments section on the films, no matter what the film is, it's just always funny. So one of the first comments is, "This is camp. Also, what have I gotten myself into?" One of the other ones is a multi-ethnic utopia in which the rave of the 1990s never ended and 9/11 didn't happen. Someone put, remember when the coolest stunt in this franchise was little car going the big truck? And then one of my other favourite ones is car goes brewer. I feel like that's probably one of my funnier ones that I could find. But we'll be getting more of those. So, as we said, George now is in the lead, so you get to go first going forward. So
back where I belong.
So, George, next film on the list is Too Fast, Too Furious. This is when they start getting really clever with their titles. So, the second movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. Is, in your opinion, is the second one better or worse than the first film? Like, in your personal opinion?
I think it's actually better. Vin Diesel's not in it, which helps. It's just Ludacris coming in and Paul Walker doing sort of like, it's more like a buddy cop type thing. I remember enjoying it more. I haven't seen it in forever, but I think it's better. I think they, improved and then went back and it kind of got a bit...
What was...
I like it.
Do you know what? I haven't seen Too Fast and Furious, but why is... I didn't know Vin Diesel wasn't in the second one.
Yeah.
Why?
Not a clue why. I couldn't tell you why. It really doesn't really make it doesn't make any sense. They just go off on a little. They go off. They go off on a different. They just do their own little adventure, don't they? To do with drugs, I think.
Right.
I'm not 100%.
This is the guy who've watched all of the movies and he still has no idea why Vin Diesel is in Too Fast, Too Furious.
There are so many that it all blurs into one. And like, I'm thinking of things. I'm like, is that the second one? Is Vin Diesel in the background in that bit? No, he's not. So yeah, not a clue. Maybe he was busy. It clashed with filming. So
he was busy.
So there isn't continuity then?
No, there is. They still continue. He's just not in it.
Okay.
Like he's just off. He's in a different place in the world.
Doing what?
Drinking Corona, driving cars.
Is he wearing a white vest up?
Yeah.
Oh, would you like me to find out what Vin Diesel was doing in the year 2003?
There's got to be some kind of law behind why he wasn't in it.
It's got to be Riddick. Riddick, 2003?
Oh.
No, Riddick was before that. 99.
Pitch Black is like the 90s, and I think Chronicles of Riddick is maybe...
Pitch Black is 90s, yeah, but Riddick's like 2000 and early 2000s.
Yeah.
I would say 2003.
Yeah, let's have a look and see what he was doing at that time, because surely that's what kind of made him quite popular, right?
Yeah.
Have you not seen The Pacifier? This is real best
that terrible movie. Oh wait, I think he was doing Triple X.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That was the year before, so maybe he was too busy doing Triple X, which actually wasn't too bad.
See, I've just Googled it.
Ah.
He stepped away because he didn't have enough artistic control over the first film. Oh no, sorry, he had it over the first film, and in the second film they didn't let him have as much artistic control, and he felt like he couldn't replicate the success of the 58, and so he stepped away for a brief period.
That's one sentence I never ever thought I would hear. Is Vin Diesel wanted more artistic control over a Fast and Furious movie. What artistic control can there be in a Fast and Furious movie?
He didn't like the title.
Yeah, exactly. It's too many numbers.
That's what they lack after. I feel like Too Fast, Too Furious. I think after that, it just go downhill, really.
Yeah.
They get a bit too basic after that. So, George, you think it's actually okay, but in terms of the reviews by the critics, do you feel like it would have been received less favourably than the first one?
I think from that bit of nugget of knowledge, I reckon because he came back for the third one, it's either a case that it was an absolute shit show and they were like, quick, Vin Diesel, bring back your artistic talent. Or it did well and he was like, well, I'll come back on board because clearly it's a successful franchise, even if I can't control it. Because if he was worried about not being able to replicate the success of the first, if it did replicate it, then he'll be back. So, I'm going to go higher.
Oh, he's going to go higher. Okay, what are you going to go with? Because bear in mind, The Fast and Furious was 58, so it's going to be higher
Yeah.
than 58. So what number are you going with?
I'm just gonna go to 60. Just a smidge higher. I'm not super confident on it, but the early 2-point lead has got me a bit ballsy.
Okay, right, so he's going with 60. Owen, trying to guess the rating of the film he hasn't watched, so I'm with you here. Your thoughts, Owen? Do you think it's lower or higher than 58?
Not the pleasantries. I think it is 59.
Dickhead.
So you're also going higher, 59.
Wait, can I just... Right, I know you think you're being smart with the with the tactic, but...
I'm not doing anything. I was going to say that before I even asked you.
Okay, fine. Well, it's locked in, but just so you know, if it's lower than 59, you still get no points. So,
Why?
because if it's lower than 58, which is the last one, and it can't be the same, that means we're both wrong and we get no points. So you've just hemmed yourself in.
Well, I've changed my mind now. Can I say 57?
You can't change your mind.
Look,
This is
I changed my mind.
This is episode 6. How many times do we have to go with the bloody rules?
57. I've changed my mind.
No, you're not changing your mind.
60-second rule. 60-second rule.
It's been like 5 minutes.
Well, how long do you get before you want to change your score? What's the rule on that?
There's no grace period.
Yeah.
I misspoke. I meant 57 the whole time.
Look, you go with 59, but now try to put it into your skull that how the game works. So you're being punished for not remembering the rules. So you're on 59. George is on 60. You're both wrong. It's lower.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, for God's sake!
So Too Fast, Too Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious is on 38. So it's quite the drop.
Oh my god!
So maybe Vin Diesel leaving had a big dramatic impact on Too Fast, Too Furious. So
They missed his creative input.
The little mini title for Too Fast, Too Furious is "How fast do you want it?"
Ugh.
Oh, kinky.
How fast do you want it? So let's go.
Wasn't fast enough for Vin Diesel.
Oh, apparently not. So this is, I think, the highest liked comment for Too Fast, Too Furious on Letterboxd. My favourite part is when Brian looks at a bridge and says, "Bridge." I feel like I need to watch this movie now purely for these comments. So
how long is it?
They're probably no longer than 2 hours, right?
Yeah, it's got to be like
They can't be 2 hours long.
Yeah,
an hour and a half max, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the newer ones have been over 2 hours.
Yeah, but they're just
they're now action blockbusters. So no one got any points. So George still stays in the lead and has the advantage of going first. So next film on the list is Tokyo Drift. So the first movie without Paul Walker. Am I right in saying that Paul Walker's not in it, but Vin Diesel is at the end of the film?
Yeah, he's in like a post-credit thing.
Right. So
he rocks up at the end.
So this follows like a Texan guy who's a racer, but is in Tokyo drifting.
So he's in America, and he's like this, like he's got a rough home life, and he gets into like a street race with the bully at school or something, and then he crashes, or he makes the other person crash or something like that, and so he has to. His family are like, I'm sending you to Tokyo. As you do. So, yeah, as far as I remember. And then he goes to Tokyo. He meets Lil Bow Wow.
Yes.
And he teaches him to drift, and they try and become the DK. And the famous line is, Bow Wow goes, "Do you even know what DK stands for?" And the Texan guy goes, "Donkey Kong." It's the best bit in the entire film. And then he does that and learns to drift, and there's a girl, and that's it. And Han's in it, and then Han dies.
Spoiler alert for people who have not seen Fast and Furious. But I feel like I should crash my car and get a lot of trouble, so my dad sends me to Tokyo. I mean, I feel like that's a good trade. My dad doesn't listen to podcasts, so I can say whatever I like about my dad. Maybe he would send me to Tokyo. Maybe that might have been for the best. So, George, you get to go first because you are in the lead. So, Tokyo Drift, higher or lower than a Too Fast, Too Furious on 38?
I think it's lower, which seems impossible, but it's fucking awful. I personally enjoy it, and I think it's the one I remember most clearly because it's so different to the others, but it's dreadful. So I'm going to go lower, and Owen's shaking his head, which makes me feel like he's going higher. So I only need to go one lower, so I'm going to go 37, and I'm going to let this chump go higher, and he can fuck it.
So George is being a chump and going lower of 37. He's playing Owen's game. Owen's sitting back like George is falling for it already. Look how flustered.
I haven't fallen for it.
Look how flustered he is already, Owen.
I'm not flustered.
He's chugging away at that glass, isn't he? He's had 2 glasses of juice.
So, right, Owen, so you're next. So I believe you said that you have watched Tokyo Drift.
Yep, seen it a few times.
So, general thoughts on probably the only Fast and Furious movie you actually watched in this series?
I really liked it. I thought it was good. I don't know what George is on about. I don't know what film he watched. George is on board with the critics, isn't he? Clearly. I watched it in like year 9. I think it was really popular at my school. Everyone had seen it. Everyone was talking about it. Or as you'd say, Ian, everyone had seen it.
I'm not the only one to say that, you know.
I think I had Tokyo Drift as my ringtone on my Sony Ericsson as well, actually. So what was your score, George? 37?
37. I went lower. Go higher.
And the last one was 38?
Yeah.
Oh, let's live dangerously. Or should I speak more on this film because I have actually seen it? I like how dumb the protagonist is. He looks like he just bangs rocks together in his spare time and nothing's going on in his eyes.
Did you feel like you could really align with that character?
Yeah, it's really relatable.
Oh, it's fine. Like a character that is like me.
Finally.
So, Owen, you're going higher. Do you have a number that you'd like to give me?
Can you tell me who the actor is who plays the protagonist?
So the guy who plays him...
I don't think he's been in...
Oh, it's Lucas Black.
Is he Texan?
Never heard of him.
I'm pretty sure he is Texan. Otherwise, that's a really good Texan accent.
I think it's awful.
Really?
There's bits where it's just like, it just sounds so...
He's just hamming up, isn't it?
Oh, wait, okay.
Yeah,
so
he is hamming up.
He was born in Alabama, so deep south.
There you go. Not Texas, though.
Not Texan, but not really far off, really, let's be honest.
He is in the most recent Fast and Furious film.
Yes.
He's in Fast 9.
So, did he popped up there for some...
He's a cameo or an actual character?
As an actual character, he's a rocket scientist now.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Can he drift rocket science?
Oh my god! What? How are there so many of these movies? I don't understand. Of all the people you can make a rocket scientist, him. You might I'd rather bring back
the Fast and Furious universe.
Bring back Bow Wow.
Do you know how that happens? That's when you give Vin Diesel creative control.
And they make
He's outgrown the franchise.
They make billions of dollars. It's crazy. How?
Have they been to space yet?
They went in Fast 9. That's why there's a rocket scientist, to send them to space. Wow. And it had to be the guy from Tokyo Drift.
I've heard the surface of the moon is very good to drift on. I'm sending you to space.
You're actually selling it to me, George. I kind of want to see it now.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have to watch the previous 8 to get the story, or is it just Fast Car Go Brr?
It is Fast Cars Go Brr. There's like the most recent ones have got a lot of like interlinking like villain characters and things like that. So it's you got to watch the like 6 to 9. You got to watch.
It's more like Fast Cars Go. It's like a rocket ship taking off. They're not even on the ground. You can't call it a car movie. They're rocket movies.
Why do they shift gear so much?
It is a car that is turned into a rocket though, and they drive it in space like a car. It's literally a rocket car. It's a car with. It looks sort of like a DeLorean, and it's got like a massive like jet engine on the back, and
Please
they fly.
tell me they've got like early 2000s Fast and Furious hydraulics on it as well.
Yeah, the little
Just about to like
Pumpy thing.
leave the atmosphere, and they're like,
just popping it up and down.
Can I Google it, or will that give away the score? Can I Google it after the
you
round?
can't- you can,
No, you can Google it at the very end of the podcast.
yeah, after the podcast is over,
forget
you can do
mine
as
then.
much googling as you like. So you said did you say you were going higher, Owen, or did you not?
What was George? 37.
George was 37. The previous one was 38.
Oh, fuck George. I want to go 40.
You're going to go 40. So you're going higher. So Owen is correct for being higher. On 45, so you are the closest. George, you got one incorrect. So Owen ties the round with 2.
Thank you.
So, quick guess. What do you think the small little title could be for Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift on Letterboxd? Before I tell you what it is.
Slippery when wet.
Slippery when wet, okay.
Watch
I don't
this
know.
and you'll drift off to sleep.
Wow.
Yep.
Can you imagine? That's the actual tagline. The actual tagline of the movie is, on the streets of Tokyo, speed needs no translation.
Surely that's stepping on the toes of Need for Speed.
I mean, I suppose, but was Need for Speed a thing in 2006? I know it was.
It was a game.
Yeah.
The games
game.
were around.
Yeah.
Good games.
Let's go to some of the quick quotes or reviews on Letterboxd. So someone put, don't know if you guys know this, but this one takes place in Tokyo, and they don't just race, they drift. Drift in italics. And it's got, quote, son, I can't believe you got kicked out of high school. The son in question has a receding hairline and a 5 o'clock shadow. Last one is, not a cell phone in sight, just people Tokyo drifting.
That's a complete bullshit. There's loads of them like texting each other and stuff because it's on like really shitty phones, and Bow Wow's got a good one and stuff. That Letterboxd user needs to get banned.
Well, there you go.
Have you seen this film?
Oh, I loved it when I was younger.
I do. It's the only
When you hate it now?
I don't hate it now. I just think it's shit, which it is.
You resent it?
I ate a KFC in the cinema while I was watching this at a Cineworld.
You ate a
Is that
KFC
legal?
in the cinema?
Yeah, we snuck it into the cinema and then we just ate me and my mates just ate like loads of chicken.
That's so rude and inconsiderate of fellow watchers of the film.
I
think that's me now, Ian.
I feel like I've grown a lot as a cinema goer. I wouldn't dare take any hot food into the cinema. Right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Bear in mind, you're both drawing now, but Owen got the last one right, so he will be going first. So the next one on the list is Fast and Furious. So just to confuse you, it's called Fast and Furious, the 4th movie in the series. So, Owen, last one was 45, so Fast and Furious. High or low on Tokyo Drift on 45?
Oh, like this one sounds good.
It
who's in this one?
almost sounds like it's basically kind of a reboot in a sense, because Paul Walker's back, Michelle Rodriguez is back, Paul Walker's back.
You just said Paul Walker twice.
Oh, sorry, Paul Walker, Vin Diesel,
He's back twice.
Michelle Rodriguez. Look, he's just that good in the film that he's back twice.
He's twice as good. Yeah.
He's twice as good in the movie as anyone else. And Gal Gadot is in this.
Is this the Mexican cartel one where they have to get across the border?
So it says that Dom Toretto reignites his feud with Agent Brian O'Connor as they are forced to confront a shared enemy. But it doesn't say who the person is, but going by the names of some of the actors who sound quite Latino, Laz Alonso, John Ortiz, Tego Calderon, that sounds fairly cartelish. So maybe you're right.
I think there's a lot of Latino people in all of the Fast films, so I don't think that's a good benchmark to go on. Yeah, I'm fairly certain this is that one. I can't Google it, but if you want to Google the plot for us, Ian, to refresh my brain, I would appreciate it.
Right, so Fast and Furious. Well, it's called Fast and Furious 4, so let's go with that. So let's have a look.
I think it is the Mexican border one, because they drive through like a secret tunnel.
Yeah, they're trying to take down the heroin importer Arturo Braga. That's all it says.
Sure.
So maybe. I mean, George, you're the Fast and Furious expert here. We both have absolutely no idea. You could be like, yeah, this one. they went to Libya. We were like, oh, wow. Wow, Libya. Crazy. Gotta watch that. So, Owen, again, you haven't watched this one, but do you think that the slight kind of soft... I guess this is like a soft reboot. Do you feel like the kind of soft reboot was kind of received kind of better with the critics than Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift?
Surely it had to be, otherwise how the fuck did they make another 6 of them after?
Again, like George said...
It makes no sense.
Money.
Well, I watched a short documentary on YouTube about a theme park ride that was based around the Fast and Furious, and it was meant to be like an interactive experience where you got in a car and it drove you between like certain sequences from one of the films, and it like completely like flopped on impact. Like nobody was interested in any of it. So that's a nice little bit of trivia. So look that up outside of the podcast.
Were you just not talking about Vin Diesel's return to the franchise?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was a metaphor.
Right, got you.
Yeah. What can you say about a film you haven't seen? You know. Right. So we're drawing 2-2.
Yeah.
Chips
Last
are down.
one, Tokyo Drift 45.
45. I feel really tense. I don't usually get nervous, but I'm starting to get a bit shaky. I'm gonna say this was fucking awful. I'm going to say this is quite possibly the worst one in the series. I'm going to say this is 32%. No, just 32, sorry. Back to the percent again. Sorry.
Right, so you're going lower
32.
with 32. Now we go to the Fast and Furious expert, George Robinson.
I mean, I'm desperately racking my brain for which film this is. Is Han in this one?
Yes, he is. Yeah,
he is. Right.
He is. Yeah.
I think this is the one. It might not be the one where they go over the border, because the one where they go over the border, I think, is the one where Letty dies. But she's not really dead. Don't worry.
You said Han was dead in the last one.
No. So this one comes after Tokyo Drift. No, this one comes before Tokyo Drift. Sorry, in the chronological order of it.
Okay.
Because Han and Giselle, which is Wonder Woman, what's her name?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Yeah. Gal Gadot's character is Giselle. They kind of meet in this one. They fall in love. And I can't remember if this is the one that ends on a plane and she falls off the plane. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go to Tokyo because I'm sad. Because they went to Tokyo together. I can't remember if it's this one or the next one where that happens. Maybe it's this one. But yeah, there's a scene where they get fingerprints from the bad guy because Gal Gadot wears a bikini and gets the guy to touch her ass, and they get the fingerprints from her ass.
What's the name of this movie again?
So just on that alone, it's higher.
Right.
What was the last one on?
45.
45. I think this is higher. I think Owen's wrong, and I think it's 46.
Oh, so just
I'm not going for a spot on. I'm just going for the points.
Right. Well, I can tell you that one of you has got a spot on. It's George.
Yeah! Fucker.
Fuck you!
I can't. You said it so casually. I was like, oh my god. So George, we need a sound when we get like a spot on. We need like a
get the air horns going.
So that's a massive moment. George gets the 3 points. The maximum points goes 5-2 up. So the tagline.
Still 6 rounds left.
I think this is my first spot on.
No, you've got one, I believe. I believe you have. Yeah.
Ooh.
Because there was one episode, I think maybe it's episode 2 or 3, where both of you got like one each. At least.
Cool.
I think one of you got like 2.
Better,
now, I feel like the tagline for this one is probably the worst. All it is simply is new model, original parts.
If that's it saying this is a reboot.
This is a reboot, yeah, new car basically, but you know, It's the same old shit in there. You're not going to get a good performance. You're just going to get the same old crap that you got in the first two. So
that could be the tagline for every single Fast and Furious film after this.
Exactly. Right. So let's go through some of the comments. Someone put the one where Vin Diesel puts an elbow through his car's window instead of just rolling it down. See, this is the issue I have in these movies. Unnecessary breakage of windows. Just roll it down. Surely his car's electric windows. It's just a button. He hasn't got to roll it. Someone put shout out to the dude who saves his iguana in this movie by taking it with him as he jumps out of a flaming moving car. Bless your kind heart. And then someone put Superman is cool, but does he have car accident recreation vision? No, he does not. Advantage, Dominic Toretto. Which sounds
this is the one
ridiculous.
where Letty dies.
Right.
It is the one where Letty dies. Yeah, because he turns up at the scene where she dies and he watches it all. And yeah, but then she's actually not dead because she's brainwashed and she comes back in another one.
Right. Okay.
There we go.
So George takes the lead 5-2. We are now at the halfway stage with Fast 5. So this is the 2011, only 2 years after Fast and Furious. So George, you have the lead. So Fast 5, higher or lower than Fast and Furious on 46?
This is the first one with The Rock, isn't it?
This is the first one with The Rock. So I feel like just by looking at the poster, it's taken quite a big leap in terms of getting kind of bigger action stars involved.
Yeah. I think this is the first one. If I'm remembering, this is the one where they steal a safe and they're driving a safe down the street and it is being towed around. It smashes into everything. And it was like the first massive, because there's always some big stunt. In the same way that Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise falls off something slightly higher every time.
Yeah.
There's some big chaos thing that happens. And this was the first one, I think.
Right. So it says here that it is, that they basically backed into a corner in Rio de Janeiro. So they're in Brazil. Yeah. They must pull one last job. Bear in mind, one last job. This is Fast Furious 5. We saw a 5. One last job in order to gain their freedom.
Yeah, it's always one last job.
It's always. They just can't get enough of each other. Vin and Paul. They just love each other. It's family.
It's a family.
Family always come back together.
Yeah. Because I think this one introduces Dom's new love interest now that Letty's gone. And then Letty comes back later, and so they have to kill off this one. Because he can't have two alive love interests.
So, Letty, is that Michelle Rodriguez?
Yes.
Right, okay. I didn't know her character name, so I just assumed she was some random person. Michelle Rodriguez dies.
Cool. So, Fast 5, The Rock was in it. Everybody loves The Rock.
Everyone loves The Rock.
What's the last one again? Even though it was spot on, I can't remember it.
46.
46. This is higher.
Yeah, higher, okay. Higher. You're going higher, so
higher than 46.
You got a number?
I got a number.
You got a number?
You want the number?
Yeah, let's hear the number.
My number is 52.
I feel like you want to go higher, but I feel like you've gone safe. Okay.
I shat my pants a little bit.
Yeah, I heard that. I can't go and smell it. So he's gone higher with 52. Again, Owen, I always feel like you shouldn't be here. Another film you haven't watched. Fast 5. So this is the one where The Rock comes into it, in case you weren't listening. So do you feel like the critics would be like, this is way better because The Rock's in it?
No, they absolutely would not. Because The Rock is fucking awful. I think George thinks he's got wiggle room to mess around. I think he's being overconfident, and we hark back to previous episodes with the rabbit and the hare.
You mean the rabbit and the tortoise, right?
The rabbit and the tortoise.
The hare and the tortoise. The hare and the tortoise. Not the rabbit and the hare.
Yep. That would be a
very similar animals.
That would be a sick race.
Well, this one's Fast and Furious 5, right?
Yeah, it's simply called Fast 5. Fast 5.
I mean, George has to win, really, because he's seen all of them. He's like a Fast and Furious historian, so if he doesn't win, it's just double embarrassing.
Yeah, in like 50 years' time, they open up a Fast and Furious museum. George will be volunteering his time when he's retired to giving out trivia.
What was George's score? 55?
52.
52, yeah.
Which side
And the previous one was 40. The previous one was 46.
Yeah.
Oh, this film was garbage, 100%. The previous score was 46, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lower. This podcast, this whole game mode is just evolving in one over the highest or one over the lowest. And I'm going one under the lowest. So 44?
So you're locking him at 40.
45. You mean?
45, yeah.
You're locking him at 45.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Ian?
Yeah.
No, 44. just to break the sequence.
44. Okay, well, you just made it worse for yourself, Owen. You are incorrect, George. You are right with it being higher.
Yeah.
You are not spot on. It's actually a lot higher than what you guessed. It's on 66. So it's the highest rated Fast movie so far on our list.
Ooh.
So, George, you get the 2 points.
Can I still win?
Well, George is 7-2 up, so yes, you can still win, but you need a spot on, I think, to really get.
Well, I have
close
to get a spot
George.
on.
I need to get some things wrong.
Yeah. So, but there's still time. Only halfway through. So,
I can only tie if I win every round.
I mean, yeah, you could, but yeah, you need to pull your finger out. Oh, and your luck is slowly disappearing.
What do you want me to do? Watch in between now and the next round, Ian?
Yeah, watch them at like five times speed. Just like watch it in between while George is talking. So the tagline for Fast 5, again, very simple. Get the 5th gear.
Oh, beautiful.
Get the 5th gear.
Isn't that like an old car TV show, Fifth Gear?
Yes, on
It's
like
Top Gear.
Channel 5.
No, it's not Top Gear. It's called Fifth Gear.
Yeah, fifth Gear was like
Is it?
the other.
It's like
Top
knockoff.
Gear.
It was like the
Knock
one
off
that
Top Gear.
tried to challenge
Oh,
Top Gear, but never really kind of took off.
Fair.
So I think a lot of people kind of enjoyed Fast 5.
I loved it.
Yeah, there you go. So George loved it. Owen hasn't watched it, and George is winning. So let's move on to the next one, which I feel like is probably one of the most simpler of titles we've had so far. Fast and Furious 6.
You know, they never end.
Straightforward.
Kind of simple, isn't it? Simple and straightforward. So George, you're still in the lead, 7-2. You get to go first. So Fast and Furious 6, higher or lower than Fast 5 on 66?
Right. Fast and Furious 6. I feel like this is a blind spot for me. I can't remember this one because it's not the one that Paul Walker is dead in.
What, for real or in the film?
For real.
Oh, right.
he never dies in the film. He just drives off into the sunset and they just don't talk about him very much.
So apparently, this is the one where he meets his deceased girlfriend Letty.
Oh yeah, so Letty comes back.
Letty comes back.
Yep, and I'm fairly certain this is the one where his love interest from the last film dies to make way for Letty, but then he's had a kid with the old one, so I think he's got a baby in this.
Vin Diesel has a baby.
Vin Diesel has a baby.
Oh,
yeah.
bloody hell. I know this is going to go. Bloody
What?
get the kids
Should've
out. They're
done
going to reboot in 20 years' time. The kids.
Oh.
Yeah. The family just got a whole lot younger.
Oh!
You should be a producer on it, George. We could use you for the law.
They need my artistic talent.
They've lost their stabilisers. Now they're ready for a big ride.
Ooh,
Nice.
very
There you
nice.
go,
That's
there
better
you
than
go.
mine.
No,
So I'm
yours is
gonna
good.
edit. I'm gonna cut that from there. I think this is lower. I can't really remember what happens. Oh shit! No, this is the one with the guy who played Dracula in
Luke
Dracula
Evans.
Untold.
Luke Evans, this isn't it? This one.
Yeah, that one. Luke Evans. He's in it, and it introduces Shaw from Hobbs and Shaw because he is Shaw's brother. And
What's
Han,
even related?
because it's all about family.
So
all
Shaw,
about family.
Shaw
Weird.
is Jason Statham.
Shaw is Jason Statham, yeah.
So he's the brother
And
of who?
Luke Evans.
Oh, right.
And
I thought,
Helen Mirren is
the
their mum.
bloody hell.
Yeah. I know.
Helen
Mad.
Mirren is in these films?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
She's the mum. She plays a Cockney like thief.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I feel like we're blowing Owen's tiny mind with these Fast and Furious movies.
Is Anthony Hopkins in it?
He's just so being a granddad or something.
Yeah, I mean, not yet. That'll be in Fast 10. But yeah, so Luke Evans is in it. I do remember this. It's kind of more... So from this point, they kind of led down more of like a cyber warfare type thing. And they're always trying to find a different hacker. And eventually like Charlize Theron is the hacker. But this is like early doors. And it's not great as far as I remember.
So basically it's veered away from street underground racing to we need to find a hacker.
Yeah, basically every film from this point on is like the CIA getting in touch with Dominic Toretto saying, we need you again for some reason, like this random thug that drives a car. They're like, this is the man to save the world for some bizarre fucking reason.
I can only imagine at the start of every movie is Vin Diesel on some kind of like beach holidays, let himself go, opens Hawaiian shirt, and he gets a call, it's like, and then he says to his wife, like, don't take it, baby. We're happy here. It's like, I can't let my family down. And then there's like a quick 5-minute montage of him working out, and then he's back to like fighting sheep, and then he's up in the car.
You're pretty much spot on.
No way.
In the most recent one, he's got a farmhouse and he's working on his car when someone turns up to talk about a job. And then all the ones before, it's like he's just fixing up his car in a garage and someone turns up and is like, Dom, we got this thing. This person's back from your past. You've got to do this thing. It's absolute insane.
What's his insurance is like?
What's his insurance like?
Yeah, his car insurance. It's been through the roof.
I mean, he saves the world so many times. Like,
how many no claims figures got?
He crashes all the time, surely. He's writing off cars like every week. How the fuck is he getting insurance? He's called an Admiral. Fucking hell, no, we cannot give you insurance. Stop calling. If that Dominic Toretto calls, he's on a blacklist.
God. Right, where were we? The score.
Yeah.
Well, this is lower. I can't remember what the last one was. What was it on 60?
66.
66, cool. So 66. I'm saying this one is lower.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like massively lower, because I think these ones are pretty much all the same, apart from the last one, which I think is worse. And so I'm going to say that this is like 50... I'm going to go 54. Which side of 55? I'm going to go 54. Also, Owen's looking at his phone. Judge.
Oh no, I was replying to a text message about family. It's very on topic. Very on topic.
Get that on airplane mode, son.
Yeah. Do not disturb.
Yeah.
Right. That's
so
my
you've got
54.
54. So he's gone lower. Owen, higher or lower?
Higher than what? 54.
higher or lower than 66?
Yeah, of course.
You're so
lower
close.
than 66.
You're so close to the microphone.
Your name is Owen Cox. You are on the podcast. The rating is right. It's Wednesday, the 11th of January, 2023.
Sorry, I just... even the films are so boring. Just even George just talking about it is boring.
Just because you're not winning, all right?
52. Why not?
52. So you've both gone lower. You've gone 52. George has gone for 54. You're both right with it being lower. But George is closest. It says on 61. So only a little bit
still quite high.
That's still quite high. Yeah, only 5 less than Fast 5. So George, you get the 2 points.
Can't catch me.
So it's
Hold on a minute. So Inglourious Basterds was 69 on Metacritic, and Fast and Furious 5 was 66.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're having a fucking laugh over it, mate.
This is why, Owen, I've introduced the letterboxed reviews. So before we go
This
into
is
that,
fast becoming my favourite part, to be honest, Ian.
that's great. I'm loving that you're enjoying this. So Fast and Furious 6, the tagline is "All roads lead to this." So I feel like that's kind of a tagline of like, this is the last fucking movie we're making. We are not going to make any more. Clearly,
but that's the same as the last one. One last job, and now
it's
all roads lead to this.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into Owen's favourite part. So top liked one was 822 likes. Fast and Furious 6 has the greatest dialogue ever. He's in Spain. That's in another country. You can tell who the fuck wrote this movie. Maybe this may only relate to George because he's watched the movie. How long was that fucking runway?
Oh yeah, this is the one where she falls off the plane because the plane is going on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Let's find someone else because I feel like these haven't been as good. Actually, do you want to skip it because they're all shit? Clearly, they can't. The film's that bad that people can't even think of really funny quotes for it. So before we go to the next one, quick recap: George is on 9, Owen on 4. So
what a spanking! Absolute spanking!
A meaty lead. So he gets to go first again. So this is
meaty lead.
This is Furious 7. So this is the one directed by James Wan, who directed The Conjuring, Insidious, Saw, yeah. Crazy then went on to do a Fast and Furious movie for some reason. So George, is this, because I feel like this is the first one to break $1 billion at the worldwide box office. So this was a humongous film. Was it purely because it was a good film, or mainly because Paul Walker died? That sounds horrible, but that was a big reason why a lot of people went to go watch it.
Lots of people went to see how they kind of sent him off. Because it was a big question is like, are they going to kill him off? Is he just going to just disappear? Like that sort of thing. And it was an emotional farewell. You get through to the end of it.
Did you cry?
I did cry. Yeah, I did cry. I watched it I read The Fault in Their Stars, the book, and then I watched this film. And there's a lot of sadness going on in both of those things. And so I rang up Amy, and she was on holiday, and it was like 2 a.m, and I was like, just
a reminder, this film came out about 8 years ago, so George was still in his 20s. He read The Fault in Their Stars, and then cried at Furious 7.
Yeah,
wow. I think that kind of sums up where George may have been slightly in his life about 8 years ago.
Was this a point in your life where you were eating pot noodles for dinner?
Yeah, I mean it was my 3rd year of uni, so not far off.
Having a mental breakdown, not doing his work, but yeah, I'm going to read The Fault in Their Stars and cry at Furious 7. Absolutely.
Yeah. Exactly. It was the first year I went vegan, so I'm sure there's some correlation between that.
So the only thing
you had a moment.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about this movie is that this was in the last year that I worked at the cinema, and I remember it being mental.
Ian Cinema Stories.
Unfortunately, I don't have a cinema story for this one, but during that time when it was out, I was actually in New York for the first time, and I remember walking around Times Square, and it was just littered with Furious 7 posters, like everywhere. So obviously they were like really selling it like big time, like, and I was like, I feel like I need to watch this movie because it's everywhere. I still haven't watched it 8 years later. So, but I do know that there are some massive set pieces in this, like some ridiculously like over the top set pieces. One where when they drive a supercar from one skyscraper to another through the window in like Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi or something like that?
In Dubai. I think it's in Dubai. Yeah, they drive their supercar from one and go into another, crash into a party.
What are they achieving from that?
I think they stole something. I think they got something off a laptop or something. And they were driving. I can't remember. I mean, it was Cargo's broom.
If someone stole my laptop and they drove a supercar from the building I was in to another across the road, I'd just simply take the lift and go and on the ground floor.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we got away. It's like, you literally can't go anywhere. You're still in the same fucking place, just in a different building.
I can't actually remember how they get from that building out. I can't remember if they keep driving to smaller and smaller buildings or whether they just went out and drove away.
I feel like it makes sense if it's like some kind of car showroom in the building.
Yeah.
And then they like drive the car off and out into another building.
Or did they drive the car from a showroom into a party? That might be a showroom. I don't know. Maybe I'm just applying logic to somewhere where there is clearly no fucking logic happening.
I feel like this is like a fly on the wall in the writer's room for Furious 7. It's like, how are we going to get one supercar from one skyscraper to another? With no logic attached to it at all. Just it doesn't make any sense. We'll get there though.
It doesn't need to make sense, alright?
No.
That's the moral of the story with the Fast and Furious films. You don't need a fucking plot.
So I feel like you're at the point where I think you could probably put Owen out of his misery here. So the rating for the movie. So bear in mind, last one was 61. So Furious 7, is that higher or lower, George?
Part of me is thinking they are kind of going down and down and down. But maybe critics would be a bit sympathetic because Paul Walker died. Jason Statham's the big bad of this one. Before he turns good. I believe so anyway, unless I've got that completely fucking wrong. So I'm going to say they have been sympathetic. I'm going to say this is higher, and I'm going to go to 60. I'm going to say they were very sympathetic, so they gave it 3 more points, and I'll say 64.
64. Okay. Back to the ghost that is Owen Cox in this episode. What's your score for Furious 7?
Furious 7 sounds like a belter.
To be fair, the way George described it sounds good fun.
So this is the one with the Forever runway. I think I've seen memes about this.
No, Forever Runway is the last one.
Yeah, we referenced that one.
Yeah, you know. The
one, yeah, of course.
This is the one after that one.
I think Owen's allergy
so what happens in this
having
one?
an effect on his like.
This is the one where I don't know if you're listening, but they drive a car from one skyscraper to another.
Yeah, when you were describing that, I was thinking, would it not be more practical to just like not use the car?
That's what I said. I was like, just take the lift down.
I like how Owen is just switched up. When it's not his turn, he's literally just glazed over. He's like, I'm not going to win this. No point.
He's
listening.
Like, he's like, is this the football podcast, right, that I'm on?
No, I was worried that my microphone was picking up your voices coming through my headset. So I spent the entire part of George's score trying to figure out if his voice was picking up through my microphone through the headphones. So instead of listening to George, I was looking at the volume levels on my computer. So, Fast and Furious 7.
Yeah.
I think it's lower than the last one. Surely they can't keep going in like the similar trajectory of like the 60s. Surely they dip at some point. Who's reviewing this shit?
It's just me.
Are
they just giving it pity scores or what?
Yeah, the first one's George Robinson and it's Jorge Robinson. And then it's Joe Robinson. And then it's just Mr. Robinson. It's a lot of Robinsons here.
Are they just doing it because The Rock kicks off with anyone who gives him a bad review? Is everyone just terrified to give The Rock's films a bad review because he outs you on Twitter?
Yeah, because he'll basically then kidnap you and force you his cheat meal. Who's here you go, 1,000 pancakes with a whole ton of peanut butter coming your way. Here comes the airplane, or shall I say fast car, that will give you reviews.
These because these are the ones with The Rock in that there's like a thing in their contract that neither him or Vin Diesel could lose a fight. And like whenever they fight each other, they either have to both take a punch at like the same time, or they have to get up straight away, and someone has to like intervene, so there's no real loser to the fight. Which is
how do you intervene between The Rock and Vin Diesel?
Oh well, I mean, you put me in the middle, clearly. So. They're like, whoa, do not mess with this guy. I think that's honestly so petty. That's such a petty thing to be like, well, I'm so hard that you can't beat me in a fight, a pretend fight in a movie.
But that's the Rock all over. He's so like fragile. Like I said with the critics' reviews, like he outs reviewers who give him a bad review or review his films poorly on Twitter. He calls them out and ats them. It's such bizarre behaviour.
As Owen would say, grow up.
Yeah, grow up. What's his name? Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne DJ.
If you're listening, Dwayne, grow up.
I would challenge you to a duel. You can't beat him though. It's in the contract.
Maybe this is how we get a bunch of listeners. We just like bombard the
celebrities.
Twitter. Yeah, just keep calling out, just tag him in, being like, "Oh my god, you'll never guess what Owen Cox said about The Rock."
And I'm bolder than you.
Yeah, Owen can grow a fucking beard, man.
Yeah, Dwayne, where's your beard? You can't even take a punch in a film, you loser. Oh god, imagine if he actually heard that. I'd have to move house. I'd have to go into hiding, wouldn't I?
The Rock's coming for you.
I'm going to give this 50. I'm going to say it dramatically dips in this one. Because how many times can you recycle the same shit and get away with it?
Well,
Can you
quite a few
get away
times.
with this? I'm saying 50.
You go with 50. George, you went higher with, did you say 74? 64?
I said 64.
64. So George is correct for being higher. It's on 67, so just slightly below. So George...
What the fuck?
I told you, it's pity. Paul Walker died, so they gave it pity points.
Right, once this episode finishes, I'm going on to Metacritic and I'm going to write my own responses. Can you comment on reviews?
Not on Metacritic, though.
You'd have to go.
Oh, so they've got an echo chamber.
No.
Typical critics.
Yeah, I tell you what,
it's because you have to go to their publications and it gathers it. So
find their personal email and then you can send them a personalised email. But that is...
Do you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I think I will. I'm actually genuinely offended because I feel like I've been robbed in this episode.
This is your pure blame. That's why you've lost this, because you blame the critics for rating it just slightly above average.
It has nothing to do with the fact that you haven't seen these films. It's all the critics' fault.
So it's actually the highest rated Fast and Furious movie so far. So it's one above, which was the last highest, which was Fast 5. So technically this is the best, or the most well-received one. So another short tagline for Furious 7. Vengeance hits home. I don't really see what that means.
It's because Jason Statham's character is getting revenge because they killed his brother in the last one. Come on, Ian. Keep track of the plot.
Sure, I just don't know. Because it's Shakespeare, I just never known so smart like this. I just can't. I just can't keep up with this. Right, so let's go for this one here. So it's not that they jump a car from one building to another. It's that they jump a car from one building to another and then to a second building. And
right.
And when they make the first jump, they cut to a super wide shot so you can see the third building in the distance and think to yourself, holy shit, they're going to jump the other one too. That's cinema magic right there.
It's foreshadowing, baby.
What about gravity?
What about gravity? It doesn't count.
They go lower, like every time it's like a lower floor and a lower floor. They're not going like straight across.
I thought they were.
I mean, they could have done that, and it would be just as preposterous.
I feel like this is another review by George. It's got, I fucking cried, bro. I fucking cried. Fuck what? And then someone put, shut up, I'm not crying, you are. And then someone also put, if you told me 5 years ago that a Wiz Khalifa song would make me cry, ...
See? Sad. Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth, I think. Sad song.
Yeah. And then last one, just to make a bit more balance, It's got, this has the best ending in the history of cinema, and it's not even close.
That was definitely George.
Typing
You wrote
it
that
through
as he was
tears.
crying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Owen is so done with this episode. I can tell. He's so looking forward to the end of this. So
Can we just get a recap on the scores, please, Ian?
Yes. Well, as we go into the third from last movie, George is on 11 points and Owen is on 4. So
George is simulating blowjobs.
So remarkably, I think Owen can still win if he gets.
You'll have to get them all bang on.
You've got to get them bang on, and George to get them wrong.
Right, we can do this.
Good luck, mate.
It's possible, but
We can do this. It can be done.
So next one on the list, George, you get to go first again because you are still leading, is The Fate of the Furious, or simply put, Fast and Furious 8. So is that higher or lower than Furious 7 on 67?
Right.
This is one I've actually watched. This is the one I've actually watched. And there is one bit that was so ridiculous, but I won't bring it up until a little bit later.
So why have you seen this one but not the others? Why doesn't make any sense?
I don't know, because
Did you
I
just
think
randomly watch it.
At the time, I think me and my mate were just really bored, and it was like the only thing that's actually really on. And I thought this might be a bit of fun. I'll just watch it. I'll probably have no idea what the fuck's going on. But I was just like going, what the fuck? What the fuck? Throughout the whole bloody movie. I was like,
Isn't that the point though?
Yeah, no, but at some point I was like, this is just not possible. What are they achieving from this?
That's the point.
Right, no, okay.
Prices.
I'm not going to hold back, right? I'm going to go straight in with my thought of this one particular scene. So, towards the end of the movie, Charlize Theron is the villain in this, I believe. Is that right, George?
Yeah.
And she's
Hacker from the previous one when I was listening.
No, so she's in this one and then the next one. She's the villain for 2.
So,
okay.
But she is a hacker, you're right.
At the end, right, she is chasing Dominic Toretto. He's in a car on ice and she's in a submarine.
Yeah.
Right? And then she goes to blow him up with a nuclear weapon or some kind of bazooka. He hides behind a car door and survives.
Yeah.
I've seen this on YouTube. I've seen this.
He hid behind a car door and there's not a scratch on him.
You should have hid in a fridge, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's also fucking ridiculous.
I like how you're like, she goes to shoot him with a nuclear weapon and then changes it to bazooka, as if they're two very similar things.
Well, I mean, at first I thought it was the nuclear weapon. I was like, well, surely you couldn't get away with surviving. And then changed it to bazooka. Yeah. But I feel like if there was a nuclear weapon that hit Vin Diesel, he'd maybe just turn more attractive. Maybe he wouldn't be fucking ugly.
Stop being such a potato man.
Yeah. Maybe he'd become like
maybe his car was bazooka proof.
Yeah. Maybe.
You're just not asking the right questions.
I'm not. I'm clearly.
Maybe he's got a rule in his contract that he can't be killed with a bazooka.
Yeah, the Rock can't beat me, and a bazooka cannot kill me. Right, so George, you are first. Is it higher? Well, first of all, actually, is this a better movie than Furious 7? Because this is the first one of it's not the first one without Paul Walker, but this is the kind of first official one without Paul Walker.
He was in the last one.
Yeah, but this is the first one
where he didn't have a hand in it at all. Yeah,
it's the first one since his death, proper death. I suppose, because he is in Furious 7.
Yeah, he. I think this is because in this one and the next one, there's like a few mentions where they'll say, "Oh, we got to get Brian," and Vin Diesel's like, "Nah, he's with his family." And he just leaves him.
Right,
that's how they gloss over it. They just say he's like retired. That's pretty much it.
He's done what all the other characters should have done from like the second or third movie.
Yeah, just stopped.
Just stopped. Yeah,
exactly. I can't really remember a lot of this apart from the like final bit in the ice. That's pretty much all. Oh shit! No, I do remember this one. Dominic Toretto's a bad guy in it, and they have to stop him. I do remember this.
He gets seduced by Charlie. He gets seduced by Charlize Theron, and he ditches his family after the 8th movie. I'm just like,
yeah.
Even as
did she shoot a bazooka at him?
Oh no, this is the point where they kind of, because at the start she gets him on her side, and then at the end he goes back to the family.
Yeah, but doesn't she have him on her side because hasn't she got his son or something? She's got the baby.
How can cars be so dramatic?
Because I think Jason Statham is maybe also in this one, and he goes on the plane and gets the baby, and I think that's how he redeems himself from being a bad guy previously. Maybe.
I dream this and then just write it down.
I swear to God, if there was a scene with the baby and there's like, say your first word and it goes, family. Oh, but alright, this is it.
That's the next film.
Drift. Oh, he's a living DK.
No, this is worse than the last one. This is lower. It cannot be higher, because if it's higher, it's getting even closer to Inglourious Bastards.
I think it's higher.
That could not happen. So I'm going to say lower. I'm going to go down to. I'm going to go quite a way down. I'm going to go 56.
56. Okie dokie. Owen, you said higher?
Fucking hell.
No, do you know what? I'm going to try and get it bang on. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to pull some Mystic Meg shit here. I'm going to say lower, and I'm going to say 37.
It sounded like he read that because he struggled.
37. My hands are here. Can you see my hands?
He's like half of an 8,
I'm manifesting
7. Right. Well, I can. That's what one of you has got it spot on.
Who?
Oh, it's George.
Yeah!
Again!
I am the Fast and Furious king.
I was getting them all out of the way in this episode, so that's good.
I mean, you're both right with being lower. George, so you get the 3 points. Owen, you get the 2 because it is lower.
No, he doesn't get 2. He gets 1.
You get 1. You get 1. Sorry.
No, I get 2. I get 2.
No,
you get 2. It's too late. You can't take it back now.
No, you've got the 1. That's my bad. It's New Year, a bit rusty with the rules. So, George, you were right.
Tell me about it.
Being on 56. It's getting kind of, like you said, Owen, it's getting a bit more depression and bleak now with this. The tagline for the Fast and on the Fate of the Furious is "Family No More."
Oh.
Family No More.
Bleak.
That's sad.
Is that because he turned coat?
Yeah.
Yeah. People are very angry about this one. They're saying it's the worst one because it portrays everything the fans love about the series.
But he was doing it for family all along, so it's okay.
Someone put objectively terrible. Makes the last 2 seem tightly constructed and relatively coherent. Still mostly a blast. Statham gets an extended hard-boiled homage. That was in like capital letters, that's why I went half of that. Apparently it's meticulous, borderline, insane obsession with its own continuity into its biggest weakness. Or it turns the franchise's greatest strength into its biggest weakness. Stunts and the physics never made sense, but the characters and relationships always did. And then someone put, laugh my ass off, sure, why not? And then someone put, the final chase sequence was an educational experience because I had no idea the Fast and Furious team single-handedly caused the ice caps to melt. So if anything you want to blame global warming on, it's the Fast and Furious. Yeah. So going into our penultimate rounds, George is on 14.
This has to be a high score, right?
I feel like this is probably one of the highest scores we've had so far, and with 2 rounds to go. So, the next one is the spin-off movie, Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah.
So, this is another one I've actually watched in the cinema. I kind of enjoyed this because it's just stupid. And it's just kind of 2 characters from the franchise. And I love Jason Statham. And I like Idris Elba as well. So, George, you get to go first.
Is Idris Elba in it?
Yes, he is the bad guy. I
didn't know if you were just throwing that out there. I thought you just had... I like Idris Elba. And I like Idris Elba too.
Yeah, I just like Idris Elba.
You were just making a point.
He can never go wrong apart from cats. So, high or lower than the Fate and the Furious, George? Hobbs and Shaw, what's it on?
Ooh. So, I enjoyed this one as well. And like you said, because it is just the 2 of them. It's quite nice. Obviously, there's a few like crossovers, and Ryan Reynolds is in it as well. As a bit.
Is it like a buddy cop?
Yeah. And like there's funny bits where they like go down two different corridors. One's filled with guys. One's got one massive guy, and he's like, "Do you want your door?" Ian, you're looking really confused. This definitely happens in it.
Wait, Ryan Reynolds is in this film?
Ryan Reynolds is the agent that talks to Hobbs and his daughter at the start and gets him involved in it.
Yeah.
And I believe if there is a sequel to it, which I don't think there is going to be, he will be revealed to be the bad guy, because the bad guy has like a voiceover. You never see him. You see Idris Elba, but you'd never see this like disembodied voice. And the voice every so often changes into Ryan Reynolds. Like you can clearly hear it's him, but it's supposed to be a mystery. So I reckon he was going to be the bad guy eventually. But that's a subplot there.
Coming from number one diehard fan of the Fast and Furious brand.
Yeah, exactly.
He's spouting
all the Easter eggs.
He's spouting conspiracy theories on our podcast.
Yeah.
I thought that would be Owen of all people.
Yeah.
I'm so lost with the plot of these films. I'm just checking out as soon as it gets about halfway through.
So this one, Owen, Idris Elba
Yeah.
has been injected with like a nanobot super soldier serum.
Okay.
And he is referred to as the Black Superman in this. He has a motorbike that can drive on the side of buses. I think because of magnets, maybe.
It's all about magnets, right? In this,
Yeah.
Why specifically buses? Is he like the bus villain?
He does it. I think he does it in London. I think he drives off a bus to get away from someone, and he's like super strong. And he's got like targeting stuff in his eyes. And so at the end of it, they have to basically hit him at the same time because he can't track both of them at the same time, Hobbs and Shaw. And they're fighting in the rain. And it's, is it in Samoa?
Just go from,
they do some
go from racing cars to supervillains?
Exactly. This one has no racing in it, really. There's one bit where they're driving like a convoy, trying to chain a helicopter to bring it back down. They have to keep chaining more and more cars. And then The Rock is doing the classic, like, holding a chain and a car together, like copying the Captain America Civil War. Winter Soldier thing.
Winter Soldier, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the title of the film is The Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. So it's kind of like not necessarily kind of going down the same trope of like the cars. It's like two characters from the universe doing their thing. But the whole idea of Hobbs and Shaw, which is Vin Diesel and Jason Statham, is that they hate each other.
No, you mean The Rock. The Rock and Jason Statham, not Vin Diesel.
Oh, sorry, The Rock and Jason Statham. They hate each other, but they have to work together to take down Idris Elba for like...
Sounds sick.
Great, yeah.
It's pretty good.
The Rock does this whole like hacker thing, in like Samoa, and like take him down. It's like, and then Jason Statham's like the only white guy just standing in the background, like what's going on?
Yeah, but it's all bollocks because in that whole like fight scene, the whole thing is that these people are turning up with a bunch of guns, and him and The Rock and his like Samoan family and stuff, they have a chop shop. But they've just got like wrenches and stuff and like traditional Samoan war stuff. And these people turn up with guns, and then they're just like, "Oh, we've managed to turn off all the guns. Don't worry." Mm-hmm. And it's just like, well, that's just nonsense. Like it was all nonsense anyway, but now it's even more nonsense.
At first, I thought he said they've got a chip chop shop.
Yeah, they got a chip chop shop.
And I just found out Idris Elba's biggest weakness is potatoes.
It's definitely alert.
It's like, this is cooked in vegetable oil, right? No. He's a vegan, just disappears.
Yeah. Anyway, the score.
Yes, the score.
But, last one was 56, right?
Yeah. So Hobbs and Shaw, cool. Higher or lower?
I think it might. I think
George is getting such a high off of this.
I am. God, I didn't realize how much into these films I was until I started talking about it. I think personally, I think it's better. I think critics maybe saw it as worse. But I'm going to go with me, and I'm going to trust my instincts, and I'm going to go higher than 56, and I'm going to go to 59.
59, okay. Right, so given all that then, Owen, do you feel like that sounds better of a premise than The Fate of the Furious?
I want to talk more about the way George is scoring. I feel like he's just purposefully dragging out his scores to like stick the boot in. Like, George could say any score he wants and he still won, but he's still like putting so much thought into it.
I want to get the highest score.
I'm going to remember. Next time round, I'm going to remember. This is going to fuel my vengeance. These moments here. Hobbs and Shaw. I remember this being like really not anticipated, but it was like a big moment at the time when it came out. It was like, it had a lot of press, had a lot of marketing.
Yeah.
I remember the marketing being quite rampant for it, and I just had no interest whatsoever. I'm giving this shit 40. I reckon this was like a proper weak link in the chain. This was like the one that's like bringing down the house of cards. This is a 40. It's got 40 all over it. Stinks of 40.
Right, okie dokie. So, Hobbs and Shaw's actually on 60, so George was 1 away from being spot on. So George gets the 2 points and goes on to 6.
I feel like this episode's a wind-up. These scores aren't written. You're making them up.
No.
You're making them up.
George has got 2 spot-ons. That's 6 points alone. Out of his 16, 6 of those are 2 spot-ons. Like... so George is on 16, Owen on 5. Weirdly enough, this one doesn't actually have a tagline on Letterboxd.
So it's not about the family.
No, we just had to skip over that part.
Are we supposed to believe that Jason Statham is like on like level with The Rock for like physicality? Is that the whole premise?
So The Rock is like a brawler, like a bruiser. Like he's like a tank, whereas Jason Statham's like faster and more nimble and is kind of like better with all the technical shit.
Oh, okay.
So like they like their strengths and weaknesses match up beautifully.
I just looked at it side by side. The Rock looks like a bodybuilder, and the Jason Statham looks like someone's dad who goes to the gym.
So we're going to go into the last round. Quick recap: George on 16, Owen on 5. So the last one is the most recent Fast and Furious movie, which came out last year. It's just simply called F9. F9. Or, as you want to call it, Fast and Furious 9. So, George, you get to go first for the last time. Higher or lower than Hobbs and Shaw on 60?
It is 100% lower. I didn't watch this until recently on your...
You're not a true fan.
On your Now TV subscription, Ian.
I can see your review on Letterboxd. You gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, awful. It's shocking. Like the acting in it is dreadful, even though like the acting in everything is normally pretty dreadful, but there's like little nuggets of good things. But this one is just absolute shit. None of it really makes sense. There's supposed to be things that's like, oh, it's a twist, but it's not a twist. It's absolute bollocks. And again, it doesn't make sense that these are the people that kind of come together to save the world, and the Tokyo Drift guy is a rocket scientist. It doesn't make any sense.
This one actually sounds quite good.
Yeah, but it's absolute shite. There's like one touching moment where Ludacris and is it Tyrese Gibson? They're in space together and they think that they're not gonna be able to get back down to Earth, and they think they're gonna die, and they think they've like fucked up. And there's like one touching moment, and then that's it, and the rest of it is just shit. But then the very last shot of the movie is Brian, so Paul Walker, turns up again to have a barbecue because he's married to Dom Toretto's sister, and she's involved through the plot in this one, but Brian has to stay home and look after the kids. and then at the end he like turns up and you see like the back of his head, and that's it. Oh, also Dom has named his son Brian. That's another thing that happened a couple of films ago.
So clearly, obviously, Vin Diesel has some kind of like mixed race kid, and the kid's called Brian. It's the most white name you could ever give to some kind of mixed race child.
Is this to you what The Last Jedi is to me? Are you like off board now? Fast and Furious 10, no interest. You're gonna boycott it.
I will watch Fast 10. Of course I will. I will just watch it when it's free.
He's deeply invested in this. He's watched 10 movies counting Hobbs and Shaw. He has to watch 10.
You've got to see it out to the end. I'm a completionist. What can I say?
Exactly.
I'm a Fast and Furious purist.
So with that then, George, with your last guess of this podcast episode, what are you going to give for F9? How dare I say Fast and Furious 9?
Has James Bay done a Fast and Furious film?
No.
James Bay?
Maybe
James
the
Bay?
musician?
Yeah.
Do you mean Michael Bay?
No, you said...
Michael Bay. That's the
Oh, I thought you said James Spader, Ultron, or Robert California.
Yeah. Or James Bay, the musician. Back River.
Is Michael Bay not the natural...
He's busy. He's busy doing Transformer and Ambulance and that shit.
This is just so far up his street. Surely he's going to get on board at some point, like Fast and Furious
like
15 or something?
They're competitive. Like, he wouldn't lower himself. Oh yeah, the score. Yeah, this one's shit. I'm going to go down to 45.
Ooh,
I'm going to plummet.
5, so you're going to put it on the same scale as Tokyo Drift. Okay.
Yeah.
Owen, let's get this over and done with, mate. What's your score?
Just put the gun in your mouth and pull the trigger.
Take me out back and just fucking finish this. Oh god, what a fucking slog! I think I lost in like round 4. I think I checked out in round 3.
You haven't actually been in the lead once during this episode.
I know, and it's so hard to try and win a quiz-based podcast based around films you haven't seen.
Well,
watch more films then.
I feel like this is George's gimme. This episode. This is the gimme episode. I feel like from here on onwards, do you know what? I'll let George have this as a consolation win. Okay, this is just to make his ego. This is just to massage George's ego for all the previous losses. What's this one? Fast fucking 58. What's this one? Fast 9.
F9. Simply F9.
F9.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Do you know, I'm never watching them now out of spite because of this episode. They're dead to me. 32. Why not? 32.
If this is spot on, I'll let you win.
Oh my god.
So you said 32. Remind me, George, what did you say?
I said 45.
45. So you're both right with it being lower. There is no spot ons, unfortunately. It's only 2 lower than Hobson Short on 58. So George,
these reviews are scandalous.
So George, you were the closer. You get the additional bonus points. Owen gets to 1. So
because he needs it.
To recap on the Fast and Furious episode, Owen takes second place with 6 points. George with the most points in a podcast episode so far with a whopping 18 points. 18 points. George, would you like to... Actually, you get to recommend a film.
I do. I haven't done this in so long.
So the last 2...
I actually had one ready for once as well. I can't believe it.
So the last 2 you recommended was The Grey Man and Prey.
Yes.
So what's your third movie pick for people to watch?
I think I was kind of torn between a couple for this. I had a few in my head, but because this is the Fast and the Furious and it's kind of like guilty pleasure films, I'm going to go for my ultimate guilty pleasure film, which is Stardust. It's my favourite film of all time. It is a perfect film in my eyes, and it's fantastic. It's nothing to do with Fast and Furious, but it is that guilty pleasure.
So I'm really confused. You're like, I'm going to pick a guilty pleasure. Slightly, we've just been talking about Fast and Furious. Stardust came to your head.
Yeah, because it's like it's like a generally shit film, but
no, it's just a shit film.
Oh, it's such a good film. Like, it's my one. If I'm feeling a bit blue, I'm whacking on Stardust. Take that soundtrack, so good.
Feeling a bit blue.
Absolutely, like A-list cast.
When when he gets the blue balls, that's when he gets started. Mate, to be fair, that's
his release.
The best thing about that film is to take that song.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Great.
Which one is it?
Rule the World.
Yeah.
You and me, we can
Exactly.
That one.
Yeah, exactly.
If you stay
Yeah, not
with
bad, that
me,
is up
girl. Yeah, there you go.
Absolute
So,
I
banger.
like Patience.
So-
There you go.
George,
Everyone
I
go
would-
watch Stardust.
I would say thank you for your recommendation. That's probably the worst recommendation. Even worse than
Yeah,
the time
I
that
had a
Owen
much
recommended
better
a TV show on a podcast. So we'll leave it there. So George takes the win this time and brings the scores level on 3-3, going into our next episode. I want to thank you both for taking part and having fun in the podcast. And thank you all for listening
I
as
didn't
well.
have fun.
And I didn't have fun, but George had fun. So
I
half
had
the people,
so much fun.
50% of the contestants had fun. So thank you all for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
God, that was brutal.
It's the rating. It's the rating. Rating. It's the rating. It's the rating.
The Rating is Right podcast is hosted by Ian Crow and co-hosted by George Robinson and Owen Cox. The show is edited by George Robinson with music by Will Butler. You can find the podcast on Instagram under the handle The Rating is Right, or you can contact the hosts on their email address, theratingisright@gmail.com, if you have any suggestions or want to discuss your thoughts on previous episodes. Thanks for listening.